Hello. I wanted to do a little video while things were fresh in my mind as far as the NCAA tournament for 2021. Matthew is over here. He's going to help me kind of bounce some stuff off. There were 16 games that I announced. And let me just say at the first, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would sit courtside at 16 NCAA tournament games, let alone announce 16 NCAA tournament games at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and all due to the pandemic, all due to the fact that they moved the games to Indianapolis. And again, while it's still kind of fresh, I guess, Matthew, you asked me something. I'll see if I can pontificate on it a little bit about what the experience was like. I can't interview myself.
What was it like preparing for not each individual game, but what went into preparing for what you did as a whole?
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's hard to prepare for what you don't know about. I was, I couldn't prepare for 320 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of waited until the draw came out, and then prepared for the teams. And we had 12 games in 4 days. I don't know if you can. I mean, I guess that's a good question. How did I prepare for it? I guess I just kind of, I don't know.
Just the years of experience.
I guess the year,
doing
just doing games. I didn't exactly know how many games there'd be each day. Until the draw came out, until I found out how many games we would have each day and who the teams were, it really was difficult to prepare. The hardest thing was just, just praying that I would be healthy and praying that I wouldn't have COVID, even though I did have COVID in August of 2020. I tested positive for COVID. They say you're unlikely to get it again, but yet everybody who has it has been getting a vaccination. But that, as far as preparing for it, I just, I kind of didn't prepare for it because I didn't know if it would actually happen. There could be another COVID outbreak. It gets canceled. Something could happen. But I kind of watched it as it was moving through as far as, the tournament's coming to Indianapolis. That would mean games at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And I tried to just kind of wait until everything was settled before I got my hopes up or told anyone of the chances that I'd be a part of it.
Going back to the COVID stuff, what all did that entail? Go through the testing process, what you had to wear, all that stuff.
All through the season, I had a face shield and a mask. The season started late. We had one shutdown as far as Butler goes, and then we had another game canceled because of COVID. But I had to wear a plastic face shield and a mask all season long for COVID-19 purposes. And instead of having, like between the benches, I like to say, where I sit, normally, I sit near mid-court to do the announcing. I would say, and you can help me out, Matthew, would you say there's 15, maybe 20 people between the benches in a normal year?
At least.
I would say maybe 20. I was thinking 5 benches of 4 people, 20 people.
Yeah, it went down from 20 to
5.
Yeah.
Went down to 20 to 5. The Fab Five. The what is called the timeout coordinator for television. The scorekeeper, who also does the clock, the shot clock, the official book scorekeeper, keeping it in the actual book, not the scoreboard and timekeeper, and then the public address announcer. So instead of 20 people, we were down to about 5 people, 6 feet apart, and plenty of room for my notes. But yeah, and then in the NCAA tournament, and actually I worked a tournament before, the Horizon League tournament, and I had to be tested 4 consecutive days for COVID. And then in the NCAA tournament, and I'm a competitor, and you know they said that you would have to be tested every day of the NCAA tournament, every single day, and if you tested positive, you were done. So you can imagine the first day, I was very nervous getting the test, and I will say this: nobody else was nervous getting the test. Nobody was nervous getting the test except me, because I was just worried that, and I had it in August, and you know, but I was just worried because I knew that when you're talking about a once in a lifetime deal to be a part of, you know, you test positive, you're done. Luckily, that did not happen. I'm telling you, did I worry about it at all, Matthew?
I remember you were so worried about it, it wasn't even funny.
I know. I was so worried about it. Oh my goodness. And then when the tournament started,
you didn't get a break.
I didn't really, you know, I came when the tournament, we had 4 days, and every day we had a game at, let's say, noon, like 12:20, 4, and like 10. Didn't get home till 1:30 every night. Right back at it. I think the weekend it went 2, 5, 9. I mean, but anyway, very, very little time. So the first 4 days I was pretty much bubbled up because I only came here and went back to Hinkle Fieldhouse. We live about 50 miles away from Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then I get home on Monday, and I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I pretty much bubbled up those 4 days. Did go to work, wore a mask when people came in, did a lot more disinfecting at the radio station than I normally do. I'm sorry. Did a lot more spraying of the Lysol and all that, and didn't go out to eat, but I did eat food that was prepared out. But pretty much bubbled up the whole week and did not go to the gym, and was 10 for 10, ended up 10 for 10 as far as COVID tests, and luckily on Sunday got the last one. I got to do the last group of games, 16 NCAA tournament games in 4 plus 6, 10 days. 10 days.
Speaking of those games, what do you have any ones in mind? Anything stick out in those games? Anything that you want to talk about? What was your favorite game? What was the best experience out of it all?
Well, I would say the first game going to overtime was great, and the first day at Hinkle Fieldhouse was special because I'm an announcer geek. I love the announcers as much as I do the players, and Jim Nance was there day one, and unfortunately Jim walked out on the court to do a little video or something, and I happened to be up top when he did it. Or I would have been like 30 feet from Jim Nance. And, but, you know, I got a picture of him. But having Jim Nance at Hinkle Fieldhouse for 3 games that first day was something that I was excited about. Just to share, you know, to know that there were 3 people really calling the game. Well, I guess there were local radio too. Yeah, you know, to be one of the people calling the game along with somebody like Jim Nance, and to think that he was preparing for the same teams that I was preparing for, that was pretty special. That first day was pretty special. going on through the tournament, seeing Loyola of Chicago was fantastic. Um, Loved watching Gonzaga, and just some of those names of the teams. Not really, well, no local teams at all, but calling the UCLA Bruins, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the USC Trojans, Arkansas Razorbacks, Villanova Wildcats, even though I see them all the time. Those were very, I was very special, and to see them at Hinkle Fieldhouse was amazing. In fact, a lot of times I think it was a dream, and I said, I had a dream that the NCAA tournament played 16 games in Hinkle Fieldhouse, and Jim Nance was there, and I think I'm eventually going to wake up, and somebody's going to say, no, they did not play 16 NCAA tournament games in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Jim Nance was not there. CBS Sports was not there for 6 days. No, it didn't really happen. It was a good dream, though. It was a good dream. It actually did happen.
Hmm. So, what was the energy for each game? What were there, games where there just seemed like the fan base didn't show up and it was just people being there to be there?
Mm-hmm.
Or did every game pretty much have a little bit of a fan base that got some energy up, even though there was some piped in crowd noise I do know of?
I don't know if they really needed the crowd noise a lot of times. We had like 1,500 fans at Hinkle Fieldhouse. It seats 9,000. And early on, the fans realized that they could stomp on the bleachers and make noise. And they did that a lot. And we had some really nice, energetic crowds. I would say one of the louder ones was the Loyola, Alabama. Some of the West Coast teams, they were okay as far as making noise, but I would say as far as energy goes, Wisconsin brought a lot of fans too. Mm-hmm. They didn't stay in the game, and I think they played Baylor. I think Oklahoma played Gonzaga. See, I can't even remember the teams that played. It was so nuts. But most of the teams brought good. Most of the teams brought fans. There was energy. There was energy. If it was a game, there was energy. If it was 84 to 51, not a whole lot of energy. When your team's shooting 17%, Syracuse played twice. In one game, they shot lights out. The second game, not as much, and they lost. So, I mean, if your team doesn't make shots, you're not going to have a lot of energy. But as far as the building goes and as far as the fans go, I was really, really impressed with the energy that we had with 1,500 fans.
Yeah, me being about the only one between you and I, obviously, to go to another venue, which was Lucas Oil. It would have. I mean, you would have. I don't know how you would get a crowd loud in there with the minimum capacity. You were so far away from other people, and that was by design. You just couldn't get loud. The place was silent. It felt like watching a game in like a dentist office there. And Hinkle, maybe what's the seating at the Coliseum? How many people?
At the fairgrounds?
Yeah,
about 6,500.
65. So I would think of all the venues other than maybe
Hinkle.
Mackey.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
We had the smallest venue. How many does Mackey seat actually?
No, Mackey seats I think 13 or 14.
13. So it's
maybe 14.
Give her 1,000, but I'm sure they had people kind of towards the middle to lower at Mackey. So I think Hinkle of all the venues would have had the best atmosphere.
It did, and I think, and I will say that as the people came in, and I got to, I walked around quite a bit, I can't tell you how many people were taking pictures of the venue, were taking pictures of themselves at the venue, having people take pictures of themselves at Hinkle Fieldhouse. I mean, it was amazing to see the love of people. And I can't tell you, I talked to the SIDs, sports information directors, people from the schools, and they said, this is something that I can cross off my bucket list.
Yeah.
Over and over again. Over and over again. And the aftermarket ticket prices for Hinkle were just unbelievable.
Through the roof, yes.
I mean, they were hundreds of dollars. In fact, thousands of dollars. Or $1,000 for the Gonzaga versus Creighton. $1,000.
Shoot.
But the Hinkle tickets were anywhere from $300 to $1,000, and the other tickets were like maybe $90 to $300.
Yeah, and then if you wanted to go to Lucas Oil, it was nothing.
Yeah,
for basically any of the games there.
Yeah.
Well, it's taking a step back. In preparation, what things did you see the state get ready for? What did you see with that? How did that affect the local communities and Indianapolis itself?
Well, I know that
to your eyes.
Yeah, I haven't been downtown Indy. I haven't seen the big bracket on the JW Marriott. I hope to get there to see it. I know that there was some road improvements at Hinkle Fieldhouse, a lot of signs, on the interstates on the way in to Indianapolis with the March Madness logos. There were brackets everywhere. I would say Indianapolis was obviously, there were things down in the Monument Circle. I haven't been able to see those, but they did everything that they could, to make it a tournament experience for folks. I don't know. I don't think about how the state prepared. I know they had a ton of volunteers, and it was, it's never. I don't know if it's ever happened before that a whole sporting event of this magnitude has moved to one city in pretty short notice.
Well, I think you'd have to go to the NBA doing everything
the bubble,
there in Disney. But even that, not to this magnitude. There weren't how many teams are, including the play-in games, how many teams are there?
68.
68. There were not 68 teams at the the NBA bubble.
Yeah, they shrunk it down to those that had a mathematical chance to make the playoffs or something like that.
Yep. Teams were informed they will not be going to the bubble.
Not making it to the bubble.
Yeah.
We had one team that unfortunately had some positive tests, Virginia Commonwealth University, and they were eliminated from the tournament, and Oregon advanced without playing the game. They made it to the Sweet 16, but then they lost to USC. But only one team was eliminated due to a COVID test, and now they're all bubbled up. And you would hope that with constant testing that, that's going to be. And from what I understand, that the players stay in separate rooms, and the only time really they see each other is when they practice and when there's games. I think I've got a drink here.
Let's
see.
I don't know what I'm.
Well, I was just going to say some of the things that
What else just stuck out in your mind about the whole process?
Well, of course, being an announcer geek, looking across the way and seeing, Kevin Harlan and Brian Anderson and I think Carter Blackburn, the other gentleman, Andrew Catalan, and then I walked in with Ian Eagle on Sunday, yesterday. We taped this Monday, the 29th. Again, being an announcer geek, to be there and see those individuals and, talking to them. I know one of the announcers on Westwood One, Brandon Gauden, former voice of the Butler Bulldogs, and was able to talk to him. on Saturday, first round Saturday, and that was a thrill. I enjoyed mini Chick-fil-A sandwiches with unlimited Chick-fil-A sauce. Normally got 2, and when you can load up like a few extra pickles and a couple of those Chick-fil-A sauces, and nobody's bothering you, that's good times. That's good times. Good brats at Butler too. I like the brats. Got some candy. Got a lot of candy. A lot of ride home candy, and sun chips. A lot of sun chips. But they gave us vouchers for concession stands, and that was kind of fun. $20. You can get a lot for $20, especially when you don't have to buy the drink, because the drinks were provided at courtside.
At courtside.
Yeah.
What kind of well, obviously with COVID you had masks that were branded.
Plenty of masks.
Was there any other interesting, like, Indianapolis or Final Four branded things that you came in contact with? Or
I would say the masks.
The masks, the variety of masks.
Go ahead. My credentials up there, right there. I'll show the credential.
And show all your positives.
I'll show my
your
negatives. Yeah.
Tests.
This is my pass. I'm sure hopefully you can see it. And then every day you got when you tested negative, they gave you a bracelet. But if you didn't want to wear the bracelet, you could put it on your pass. So there's 6 of those, and they had to reshuffle the colors. You had a couple of blues, and 1 silver, 1 orange, and a couple of pinks. But 6 for 6, and I got to do all the games.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you got to see that, and I'll put my credential on. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I decided to keep them all, and it was a daily thrill to get that text that I was negative. A daily thrill.
So was there like a waiting
area
you had to wait for?
Just standing outside.
Just
it was
outside.
A house. It was a house, an apartment outside of Hinkle Fieldhouse across the street. So you walked out of the garage and walked in there and you tested, and then you waited 10 or 15 minutes for the official word that you were in. And then you got to go do your games. I don't know what would have happened if I'd have gone positive. I probably would have just, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it.
Did you know of anyone at a personal level, other than that story about the refs, that tested positive?
To my knowledge, nobody at Butler tested positive. To my knowledge. While I'm not the, keeper of the information and the person that needs to know everything that goes on, I would think that I probably would have heard. I also saw Sister Jean, the 101-year-old Loyola Rambler fan, and praise before the game. She was being taken from the arena in a wheelchair, and had a special exit for her, and Butler actually had a special escort for her to get her around Hinkle Fieldhouse and in and out in a safe way. And certainly probably don't want a whole lot of people, strangers, coming up to a 101-year-old person when there's a COVID-19 virus going around. And but she wanted to go to the game, and she did. And that was cool. I got to see her briefly. Didn't say hi or anything like that. And some announcers. I know that there were some. Joe Burrow was there, a quarterback for the Bengals, and some former players and such. But didn't get to see a lot of celebrities But I will say that I do think that there'll be more NCAA tournament games at Hinkle.
Yeah.
Because the NCAA, one thing that a lot of people would say during games are what would this place be like packed? And you and I have seen it packed many times, and it's loud. It's loud. I mean, regular.
You get a Xavier
yeah.
or a Villanova, and that's loud.
And that's a regular season crowd. An NCAA tournament crowd with a couple of fan bases cheering it out, duking it out. That'd be something to see. And I think the NCAA tournament will do that. I think they'll find a way to get to Hinkle and see that place packed and what it would sound like in an NCAA tournament type atmosphere, particularly with bands and cheerleaders and everything going full bore. I think when we get out of this COVID situation, they're going to find a way to have a game or two at Hinkle Fieldhouse. They'll find a way to do it. I think there's a way to do it. They'll just figure it out, and I think that's probably a done deal. But trying to think, we started out with, I remember 3 games every day for 12 days. There was just always a countdown clock for the next game, and one thing that you don't do in anything really, particularly sports, is you don't really worry about what's happened. If you've made a mistake, you move on. And to have 12 countdown clocks in 4 days to do a starting lineup and know that that's your time, and the most important thing that you'll do, I never looked at it as stressful, but you want to get it right. And to see those countdown clocks are just, for a PA person, you're like, that's your time. I mean, anybody else is like, that's the time to get in your seat and watch the game. And if you're a couple minutes late, you probably want to be there at the start of the game, but you want to get there to your seat. But if you miss it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. For me, it would be pretty much the end of the world. And fortunately, I survived missing one game this year. It was late for a game because of a mix-up on my part as far as the time goes. It was originally, I still have trouble figuring this out. This was a Creighton game early in the season, or in this regular season. It was supposed to be. It was originally at 4.
And then it moved to 2.
No. It was originally at 2. It was okay. It was originally at 2. Okay. Then they moved it to 4. They moved it to 4. Like on Monday, they moved it to 4. On Thursday, they moved it back to 2.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get the message that they moved the game back to 2. And a little story, one of our favorite songs, Matthew and I, is Christopher Cross, Ride Like the Wind. And one time in 1980, I'm going to the Final Four, and we're going to Market Square Arena. We're going to do play-by-play. Long story short, Butler had the rights to the game. We were doing radio on 104.5 in Indianapolis. We're driving to Market Square Arena on the interstate, 65 miles an hour. And Christopher Cross, Ride Like the Wind is playing. And it's like we look at each other, we go, how could it be any better? Exciting song. That was when it was a hit, 1980. Well, go to 2021. We're pulling out of the driveway here. It's, we're good. We're just ready to go to the game. And Ride Like the Wind's on the radio. And we're going, oh, this is cool. We can listen to Ride Like the Wind. All of a sudden on the phone, a 317 number comes up. And I said, hello? And they go, yeah, this is Mike at Butler. We were wondering, where are you? I'm going, and this is like at 1, what time do we leave? It was like 1, because normally we would leave around 1:30.
Yeah.
So we left, normally we leave 2.5 hours before a game. I don't know if you're following this. So for a 4 o'clock game, we'd leave about 1:30. So we might have been a few minutes late to the 1:30. They call up and say, where are you? And I go, what? And then they told me that the game started at 2, and it was 1:35, and we're 50 minutes away. Got a call again, and they got an announcer, and we booked it. And we were about. I got there with about 11 minutes left in the first half, and we would have got there sooner, but we were held up by a funeral, and I mean a long funeral. It was a long funeral, and it's like one of those times we had really tried to shave some time going over, and then the funeral held us up. What, about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So
getting back to,
but that was part of COVID 2021. The game changes and some announcers that, one announcer that couldn't figure out the time.
Getting back to the tournament, what did that transition process between games look like to you? How much work did you have to do in between then? And there wasn't like a usual year where you could stay there the whole day and watch ball games all day. They were ushering people out of there after every game.
That didn't affect me, though.
I know that didn't affect you, but what did that added, process look like for you?
It really didn't affect me at all. I was able to stay there the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to leave.
Well, what did that in between? What were you doing other than going to get Chick-fil-A sandwiches?
Yeah,
and
that was one time a day. Yeah.
What were you doing in between those game times?
Pretty much. The first 4 days it was hard to prepare because we had 12 teams in 2 days. And so I was watching. When I found out who was playing, I was watching all the games and kind of preparing a little more early than late. But sometimes I'd watch games between games to try to get some pronunciations. And that was another thing. Normally, in an NCAA tournament type situation, there are practices before the games that you have access to. And you can talk to the sports information directors. There are tables of information at a normal NCAA tournament game, press guides, stats, all this stuff, on and on and on and on and on and on. Nothing this year, absolutely nothing that was sitting out for you to get. And cut down on your clutter at home coming back, but you what you saw was what you got. You got to see them on the floor, and you evaluated them on the floor. I didn't even get final stats. I didn't have any access to the sports information directors the day before, and they were in corners across the court. I had limited access to get across the court. I'd almost have to motion them over. It was just very imprecise as far as your access to the teams and to get those exact, to get that exact information and the wording and all of that. It was it's just very strange. You really relied on your team, which is, the 5 people that I talked about, the scorekeeper and I. You did the best you could. When you're doing 24 teams, in 12. Yeah, we had 24 teams the first 4 days. 3 games times 2 is 6, times 4 would be 24, right? And they were all unique. I'm sure we made some mistakes. Yeah. But I tried to prepare as best I could, including there were sometimes I literally was watching a video of the team that was coming up because I had no time to prepare. Also on Monday, when the games were on Saturday, or we started on Friday, right? We started on Friday. Friday night they announced the games that were going to be on Sunday. So, and I had no clue who was going to play on Sunday till the end of the day on Friday. Preparing Saturday and Sunday, and then 6 more new teams on Monday. With no chance to prepare, and there's no way you can prepare for 68 teams. I'm sorry. I maybe somebody could, but there's just no way you could prepare for 68 teams and say, oh, it's going to be Wisconsin now because I prepared for them. No way. I don't think.
Well, Dad, I do you, before I ask you to, say your final thoughts, and I just want to say you, of all the of for a college basketball fan, you are a select few people that got to watch many games this year, live in person. You had the best seat in the house, one of. I'd say you're pretty lucky as a person who around this time would be watching them at work and watching them at home, and that's all we'd be doing is watching games. Yeah, you had the opportunity to watch them in person a lot of the tournament.
Yep, I got to see.
You got to see the favorite
Gonzaga twice. Got to see him twice.
How many teams in the Elite Eight did you get to see?
7.
7 out of the 8.
7 out of the 8. The only team that's alive that I have not seen right now is Michigan.
Michigan. And they play tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I tried to get Matthew. Well, I had Matthew try to get me on Los Angeles radio. He could not get it done, but I've seen your teams, LA. I've seen UCLA and USC and other West Coast teams too. But it's really crazy as the number of West Coast teams that have done well in this tournament. But it was. I get back to that dream thing. It was just like a dream that it all happened at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and we got pictures of the court and everything.
Everything like beautiful.
It just looked just sparkly. It was just sparkly. I would just say it was just like a kid in a candy store riding a unicorn with the soundtrack from Hoosiers on the speakers. That was what it was like, and just a wonderful, unbelievable occurrence. And I feel bad that a pandemic brought it on. I feel bad. I mean, I wish nothing more than, well, I will say this. In 2020, I was looking so forward to watching the Butler Bulldogs in the NCAA tournament, and we were going to have a good seed. We were going to have a good team, and we were going to, I think, do very well in that tournament. The Big East, that the conference that Butler's in, was going to have a very good tournament in 2020. I would have loved nothing more than a normal tournament in 2020 and a normal tournament in 2021. I did not want a pandemic, but it's amazing it's really amazing that there was a pandemic. Think about it. In February of 2020, did you think there was going to be a pandemic and that I'd be sitting here with a credential to NCAA tournament games, and I'd done 16 of them, and having to test for COVID-19 every single day? And in a year's time,
yep,
I'm holding a 2021 NCAA tournament pass that is good at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and it happened. It actually happened.